Hi guys, and welcome to my channel. My name's Teresa and I'm the CarbootCrafter, and I hope you had a wonderful Christmas. But we're in that strange time between Christmas and New Year's, aren't we, where we've done all our Christmas crafting, but it's still a little bit too early to start on our New Year crafting. So I thought it'd be fun to do a Betwixtmas project. So one of the things I really enjoy making, especially this time of year, is mini albums. So I'd made some for family and friends this Christmas. And I thought, wouldn't it be fun to make a whole bunch of these, a whole bunch of mini albums about the same size, and have them for one a month all the way through. And that's exactly what I've done. So I've got albums for every month, and there's two designs, but you can make them ever so slightly different, so that although it's the same design, you get a slightly different look to them. So yeah, so I thought it'd be fun to make those. So I've made them, and I'll show you how I've made them in the next two videos that are coming up over this week. But then I thought, what am I going to do with them? How am I going to keep them looking so nice, and how can I store them? So then I thought, wouldn't it be good to have a box to put them in? So that's what I'm going to do on today's video. I'm going to make the box, and then if you want to follow me on with this project, then catch the next two videos this week, and they'll be showing you how I've put together these mini albums. So I'll start off with the bottom, and then we'll move on to the lid. So I'll give you the measurements as we're going along. So you'll need some chipboard, something that's nice and sturdy, but it doesn't have to be very thick. What I've used is the backs off the envelopes. You know, those envelopes that have got the chipboard on the back, the hardboard on the back. That's what I've used for this project. So you'll need 2 pieces of chipboard. I'll give you the measurements in inches. The centimetres are on there as well, guys, but I'm not going to talk about centimetres, otherwise I'll be chatting too much and that the video will go on forever. So you'll need 2 pieces of board that measure 6 3/8 by 4 3/4. You'll need 2 pieces of board that measure 4 3/4 by 3 inches, so you'll need 2 of those, and you'll need 1 piece that is 8 3/8 by 3 inches. So that's the bottom. You'll also need the paper to wrap it to make it look beautiful. So I'm using single-sided paper, so it's a great way of using up your papers as well. So 6 by 8.5, and you'll need 2 of those, and you'll need 2 of 3 by 6 as well. And you can get all of that out of one sheet of 12 by 12. Just going to move that out the way and grab my scoreboard. And what you're going to do is on the 2 smaller pieces, you're going to score on the long side at 1 inch on both of them, like that. And then on the 2 larger pieces on the short side, you're going to score at 1 inch on both of them. Nice and simple, and we can pop our scoreboards away. Okay, what we're now going to do is, using the 2 larger pieces and the 1 piece, so there's 2 of those and there's 2 of those, but we've got that 1 piece, and we're now going to glue them in place like that, using that score line that we've just created as a guide. If you want to, you can mark it with a pencil as well. Just use my ruler and I'll show you. So that just gives you a guideline of where that is. You don't have to, you can just use the score mark if you want, but I've put the line on just so you can see what I'm doing. So the first thing I'm going to do is glue this onto my card. I'm gluing it like this, so it'll glue down like that, and I'll show you why at the end. Well, as we go through, you'll understand why. So I'm just going to put a little bit of glue down both of the long sides, like that. Don't have to go too crazy, and I'm just going to pop that on. I'm going no further than that that score mark, or that pencil mark as it is now, and I'll bring this one in and do the same like that. There we go. And I'm just going to use my bone folder just to firm that down. Okay, and then I'm going to turn it, and I'm going to use my knife, and I'm going to just release that there. So I'm just following on from the point of this board, this chipboard, to the edge, just following it along, and I'm creating a tab there. So I'm just going to do a little tab there and a little tab there, just to create that. So we've got that little V going on there, and the same on this corner. I'm just holding my chipboard down while it glues as well. So normally I guess I would probably leave this for a few minutes to dry, but for the sake of the video, and as you probably guessed, I use my mobile phone, and I don't do it one take or nothing, which is a bit scary sometimes, but I haven't got any of that software, don't know how to download it or any of that. So yeah, so it's all or nothing for me, I'm afraid, guys. Okay, so once you've done that, you can bring in your other pieces. So I'm going to use my two big pieces first, and I'm just going to put glue on the back of there. I do have a spreader, there we go, just so as I can get to the edges a little bit on that. Oops, all the way around. So it also means it's not going to be too thick, and my paper won't buckle too readily. Okay, and then I'm just going to turn that over, and I'm going to line it up with this middle piece here. Okay, but I want to leave a gap. What I have is I have a shim. So this is just a piece of this card. I'm just going to pop that in there, and I'm going to bring that down so it just butts up to it. Don't want to get my head in the view. I want it to butt up to it, but I don't want it to be too tight. This will allow, because this is the bottom of our box, I want to be able to, now I don't think that's quite working as well as I want it to. Let me just hold that. Yeah, that we go. Push that a little bit closer this end. There we go. Sometimes when you're crafting, you need to have about 3 pairs of hands, don't you? There we go. And I've got that tiny little gap in the middle, which will allow me to bring that up like that, and create the box. So I'm just going to use my bone folder to make sure that's got contact all the way down. I'm going to do exactly the same with this one. So popping some glue all the way around, trying not to be too much, but I need to cover it all. That's why I've got my spreader. And hopefully my paper won't buckle too much with this this glue, sorry. Just go all the way across. You can, of course, if you want, use double-sided tape and what have you. I just like using wet glue. I just trust it a little bit more. Even though I've got the red liner tape and goodness knows what, I just seem to trust it that little bit more. There's my shim. Pop that in. And I'm going to pop that down, butt it up to my shim. There we go, that worked a little bit better. And want to make sure that these are in line. Let's pop that back in just to make sure. Yeah, that's fine. And again, use my bone folder. Make sure I've got it contact all the way down. Okay, so the next bit is possibly the trickiest bit. I want to glue onto these 4 tabs. So a little bit of glue on all 4 like that. And then where's my, there we go. So I'm just going to spread that around a little bit on those tabs. Again, if you want, you can use double-sided tape. And I'm going to bring these smaller pieces in. And I'm going to do exactly the same using my shim. I'm just going to butt that up like that. Oops. Hand slipped ever so slightly. Butt that up like that. Don't worry about the gaps. We will be covering those in a minute. And do exactly the same on this side. Popping my shim in. Making sure I'm popping that in long ways. And then using my bone folder to push that down like that. Okay, so let's give it a minute. Just want to make sure I've got really good contact on all my sides, all my edges, like that. Great stuff. Now I'm going to give it a minute to dry. While I do this, I'm just going to go to the top corners of my card. I'm just going to bring my blade out at an ever such a slight angle to create a tab there. I'm just coming out. We've got a tab there. Don't need the tab, so I'm going to come this side and just get rid of it. You can use your scissors if you want to. A bit like if you're making, you know, a normal box, or if you're covering a book or whatever. Just taking that piece out because we don't need all the bulk. So again, ever so slight angle, turn it round and come out at a slight angle there and get rid. And again at the bottom here. Just come slightly away from the bottom, from that corner, and pull it away like that. Come round the top and do exactly the same here. Only slight angles. We want to take out all this bulk, but we do need to be able to cover our box properly. So don't get cutting too much. But I mean, it's not the end of the world if you do, because we can cover the inside of the box as well. So there we have it. Now all I'm going to do is bring up my sides, and I'm going to then bring these up and glue them like that. Yeah. But actually, before I do that, I think I'm going to bring these down and glue them, because I think that's probably going to be a slightly easier to job. It's going to be a bit fiddly if I try and do it after I created the box. So a little bit of glue along the top there. Again, if you want, you can use double-sided tape. So I'm going to bring that over. There we go. And push that down. You can cover the inside of the box if you want to. So those are the measurements of this piece of card. So you would cut just ever so slightly smaller. And if I remember, I'll leave those measurements in the description box below. So I'm coming around to this side. I'm going to do exactly the same on this side. So don't worry, we will be tidying everything up in a minute. At the moment, we have all sorts of edges and goodness knows what going on, haven't we? So, but we will be tidying it all up. Bring that in and across like that. And I've just realised I have forgotten to cut the bottom piece, so I'm just going to take a piece of card. I'm going to write down those measurements. So this is 6 3/8 by 3 centimeters, so I'll cut that at the end. Okay, so now we've got to here. I'm going to glue on these tabs here. Not going to go mad, just a little bit of glue, enough to hold it. I'm going to bring in my spreader and spread it all on there. Okay, on all 4 corners, all 4 tabs. Turn it round and do this side. Again, double-sided tape if you're more confident with that, but I want this to last for quite some time, so I want my 22 box to last a while, so I want to make this as rigid and as solid as possible. So I'm bringing up one of these smaller tabs sides and bring that up, line it up with that, and I'm just going to bring that round like that. So I'm going to pinch that edge so we get a nice solid edge down there, and then I'm going to hold it up and use my bone folder just to reinforce that there. So do exactly the same on this side, slightly easier this one. There we go, bring it across, pinch that edge a little bit just to help it. And you can see now the box starting to take shape. Again with this one, I'm going to bring that over, oops, hold it in place, and then I'm just going to, I'm going to do both at one time, just for quickness. You can do them one at a time if you want, or like me, do them both together, whichever floats your boat. So those are in place. I'm going to flip that over and oops, and use my bone folder to reinforce that side. Double check that one's in place and do the same on this side like that, and that has created the bottom of our box. Okay, there we go. Right, now it's still a little bit messy, isn't it? Told you don't to worry. Let's bring in those 2 pieces, those 3 by 6 pieces. So I'm just going to fold up that, you remember that score line we made that 1-inch score line. I'm just going to fold them both up. This is just going to help me now with popping this on, and these are going to sit on there and then roll over into the box like that. So do I put the glue? I'm going to put the glue on here, I think. Couldn't decide whether to put it on the box or on there. I'm going to pop it on there again, use my spreader, and I'm going to try and get all those corners. Now the top we're going to fold over just to give a nice finish to the top of the box, and also gives you something so that you're covering these raw edges here, so that even if you are going to line the inside using the measurements of that chipboard, then you're going to get a nice finish to it. Okay, so this 1 inch, I'm going to just hook it over the bottom of my box like that and push it down with my bone folder, and then bring this up. Make sure those edges are nice and tidy. I use my bone folder, got my hand inside just to give it some support. and then I'm going to just roll it over using my fingers and pinch it into place, and again using my bone folder just to tidy that up. And you can see if I was to go back in and put some nice decorative paper on there, I'm going to have a nice edge on there. So last one, a bit of glue on there, use my spreader again. Love this spreader, it's so flexible. And it's just like being back in the school classroom. So all the way around like that, making sure I've got glue on all my edges. Need a little bit more there. I think I'm going to have to get some more glue soon. But the thing with this grey board, this grey chipboard, whatever you want to call it, is it does drink up the glue, which is why I'm not being overly liberal, but I'm not being mean with it either, because I know from experience that that grey chipboard will just soak it all up, and what you don't want is to create something and then for it to fall apart because the glue's not holding. So again, I'm just popping that over like that. I use my bone folder just to make sure I've got purchase on all sides, and again very carefully line up these edges like that and like that, and I'm going to pop my hand inside just so it's got something to push back against, and again I'm going to roll over that top so that we've got that nice clean line on those edges there, like that. Okay, so that is the bottom of my box created. Okay, so I'll pop that to one side to dry, and I'm going to bring in my lid. So for the lid you need 2 pieces of 1¼ inch by 3 1/8. You need 2 pieces that are 6½ by 1¼ and you need 1 piece which is 6½ by 3, and you'll need a piece of card paper that is 8 by 11½ inches. You can see why it's a great way of using up your papers. This whole project has probably taken well, the box has taken 2 pieces of 12 by 12 plus a few of these, and then it's 1 sheet per mini album, which is 12 sheets of 12 by 12 papers, and then of course all your embellishments and decorations and things as well. So it uses let's say 14 sheets of 12 by 12. So a great way of using or stash busting and getting a really nice project out of it as well. So I'm going to pop that right in the middle of my 8 by 11½. Pop that there. I'm going to use my bone folder again just to make sure we've got good purchase all the way around. And I'm hoping we don't run out of time on the video. If we do, guys, I'm really sorry. But as I say, I think at most I get 33 minutes on this. So it may, I hope not to do a part 2 on this part of the project, but I'm beginning to think that we're getting close to our time. So I'm going to pop that on there. I'm going to bring in my shim again, hold that in place and butt that up to it, and making sure, using by eye, that this is ever so slightly on the lid, ever so slightly overlapping on both sides. So we've just got a tiny little bit on the sides there. And this one I will do the same. Let's just do that all the way down, and again bring in my spreader. There we go, getting all those edges. And this time, guys, we're putting it all down, so less faffing. The reason we had to do it in two parts like that was because obviously it's very difficult to get paper that's big enough for those for the size of that box to do it all in one go. Right, I'm going to line that one up there, and for time I'm going to do it by eye. I would normally use the shim, but because I'm a little bit worried that we're going to run out of time, I am just going to do it by eye. And the same on this side, just by eye. Bring in the bone folder, make sure we've got good perches all the way around. And this time I am going to have my tabs on the long ones, so I'm going to come along and bring it all the way out on both sides of my short pieces. I'm just following the length of that and coming out like that on both sides. So nice and easy. And of course, if you want to use your scissors, you can do. Then I'm going to come back in and I'm going to come across and just come up like that on all of my edges, and creating those tabs again. That was a bit wonky, but it doesn't matter because we're going to hide it anyway, aren't we? So coming up like that, and again with that one, and again we're going to come in and create that little tab. So I'm going to just come in at an angle on each one. So there we go, slight angle there, and then coming out at a slight angle there in our corners, just like we did on the other one. Only has to be a very, very slight angle. We don't need to go too mad, because we need these tabs to glue everything down. Where's the end of that gone? There it is. And we create that little, and it's exactly the same way of doing it. Oops. I'm going to take those edges over as we did with the bottom of the box. There we go. And make sure those raw edges are not visible. And again, if you want to cover the inside of the lid in the same way, then use these measurements to create that. So I'm just going to go round and glue down those. Where's my spreader? There we go. Bring that over, use my bone folder to bring that down like that. Don't touch the tabs just yet. And do the same here, because we'll be doing the glue slightly different on these tabs to the way that we did them. Actually, I'm going to leave those ones for now. I'm just going to do these two edges, these two ends, the long ones, and I'll show you why in a minute. Let's spread that out just a little bit. Okay, there we go. Just thinking on my feet while I'm doing it and trying to be as quick as possible. Okay, so I'm going to leave that one as well. So what I need to do now is bring my tabs up and put a little bit of glue on this side. So I'll bring it up and put it, because this time, because we've already glued these down, we're going to do it on the inside. So I'm just going to put the glue on first, and what I will do is yeah, so I'll put the glue on first before I start creating the lid, and this way I won't have to be trying to get my hand in at all sorts of angles to do that. Okay, so now I can bring the lid in. So I'll bring my side up, and this time I'm gluing on the inside of the lid. So there. I'll bring this one up and do exactly the same. And then I'm going to bring that down. I haven't glued that just yet, have I? So I can't do that on this side just yet. I'm going to get my folder, bone folder, and really reinforce that. And while I'm here, I'm going to put a little bit of glue across there, spread it out, and then that will then hold those tabs and secure them even more. Actually, those could do with a little bit more of an angle on them. So I'm just going to angle those in ever so slightly. And this one ever so slightly. A little bit tight on there. So bring that down, push that down, and then use your bone folder to create that seal in there, like that. I've managed somehow to crease it. It's because I'm rushing, guys, I'm really sorry. There we go. So create that seal there. Let's bring this around. I'm going to cut this just ever so slightly before I start gluing and folding. So let's take those across there, and that way they should fit in much easier. So again, I'm going to bring it up, line that up with the edge of my box like that, and then bring that over and seal those tabs inside on both sides. Just bring that over. There we go. Okay, and reinforce that with your bone folder. I'm just going to go all the way around. There we go. And there is the lid to our box, which, fingers crossed, fits nice and snug. There we go. So there is our box created. Oh, I quite like that now. I like those papers. So if I take that off, that's got to dry, and those will fit in there like that, and I will decorate it up